Single dad skipped his big interview to save a stranger in the earthquake. Hours later, The ground shook so hard that morning it felt like the end of the world. Buildings cracked open, cars flipped, and terrified screams echoed through the streets. Amid all the chaos, one man dropped everything, literally, to pull strangers out of the rubble. His name was Tom Harris, a single dad with one big dream, to finally get the job that could change his and his son's lives forever. But fate had something else planned that day, something that would remind everyone watching that kindness has a way of coming full circle. Before we dive into this incredible true story of courage and compassion, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. You're watching Kindness in Action, where real stories remind us that even in the darkest moments, there's always light when people choose kindness. It was a bright Tuesday morning in Los Angeles. The sun had just begun to rise over the city, and Tom Harris was standing in front of the mirror, adjusting the same tie he'd worn to every job interview for the past 2 years. He'd been a construction foreman before the company shut down, leaving him and his 7-year-old son, Eli, scraping by ever since. This interview, with one of the biggest development firms in the city, was his shot. If he landed it, he could finally move his family out of their tiny one-bedroom apartment and maybe, just maybe, start fresh. Eli sat on the couch, swinging his legs and eating cereal. "Dad," he asked, "if you get the job, can we get a dog?" Tom smiled. "If I get the job, we'll get the biggest dog in California." But just as he grabbed his keys and kissed his son goodbye, the world shifted beneath his feet. The rumble started softly, like a passing truck, but within seconds, the floorboards groaned and the walls trembled. Eli screamed. Tom ran to him, shielding his body as glass shattered across the living room. It was a 7.1 magnitude earthquake. Tom's first instinct was his son. He held Eli tight, whispering, "It's okay, buddy, it's okay," even though he wasn't sure it was. When the shaking finally stopped, he looked outside. The street was a mess, smoke, debris, and people crying for help. The clock on the wall read 8:47 a.m. His interview was at 9:30. He had 40 minutes to make it across town, but outside, someone screamed. Tom's head snapped toward the sound. A few houses down, a woman was trapped under a collapsed concrete slab. A young boy, maybe the same age as Eli, stood frozen beside her, tears streaking down his dust-covered face. Tom turned to his son. "Stay here. Don't move, okay?" Eli nodded, terrified but brave. Tom sprinted toward the wreckage. The woman's legs were pinned under the weight of a fallen wall. "Ma'am. I'm going to get you out," he shouted. She nodded weakly, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. He looked around. There was no help coming, just chaos. Sirens wailed in the distance. He found a plank of wood and used it as leverage, straining every muscle in his body to lift the concrete. His arms shook, veins bulging, but he didn't stop. Come on," he grunted. Finally, with one last push, he managed to lift it high enough for the woman to crawl free. She screamed in pain but managed to pull herself out. "Are you okay?" he asked, kneeling beside her. She nodded weakly. "My son." "He's fine," Tom said, glancing toward the boy. "You're both safe now." Her name was Laura Bennett. She was a journalist, living just 2 blocks away. She had been walking her son to school when the earthquake hit. Tom helped her sit up, checking for injuries. She had a few bruises, maybe a cracked rib, but she was alive. He looked at his watch, 9:25 a.m. The interview. For a split second, he thought about running. He could still make it if traffic wasn't bad. But then he looked at Laura, pale, trembling, barely able to stand, and at her son clinging to her arm. There was no way he could leave them like that. He tore a piece of his sleeve to wrap around a cut on her leg. "You need medical help," he said. Stay with me. I'll get you to the hospital. The streets were clogged with debris, but Tom flagged down a passing truck filled with volunteers. He helped Laura and her son into the back and climbed in with them. Eli was waiting where Tom had left him, and when he saw his dad, he ran into his arms. "Dad, you missed your interview," Eli whispered, his voice small and scared. Tom looked at him and smiled softly. "Some things are more important, buddy." At the hospital, Laura was taken in for treatment. She thanked him again and again, but Tom just waved it off. "I'm just glad you're okay," he said. Hours passed. The city was in chaos, aftershocks, power outages, people searching for loved ones. Tom finally took Eli home that evening, exhausted but grateful they were safe. He sat on the couch, staring at the phone in his hand. There was a voicemail from the company he'd missed the interview with. He sighed, ready to delete it, but pressed play instead. "Mr. Harris," a woman's voice said, "we understand you weren't able to make it today. If you'd like to reschedule, please call us back." He smiled faintly. Maybe there was still hope. The next morning, his phone rang again, but this time, it wasn't the company. It was an unknown number. "Mr. Harris," a woman's voice said. "This is Laura Bennett. I just wanted to thank you again. You saved my life yesterday." "Oh, I'm just glad you're okay," he replied. "Well," she continued, "I work for the Los Angeles Herald. We're running a story on everyday